Hi everyone, welcome once again to the Train 8 HQ. My name is Nick, and in today's video, we are looking at the Level 3 Award in Education and Training, and we are going to be looking at Unit A, which is the first unit of our Level 3 AET teaching course. The unit is Understanding Roles, Responsibilities and Relationships in Education and Training. And the purpose of this video is to give you just a talk through of your first assignment. We're going to give you some help and advice on what to include within your assignment answers. So please do watch the video and also like the video and also subscribe to the YouTube channel to receive the latest alerts and updates from the team as well. So in front of me, we have our assignment template. First of all, please put your name onto the assignment template, and we're going to take each question stage by stage. Now, many people ask me what is the word count for this unit? That's a very good question. There's no official word count. However, we've often found that the majority of learners who take this qualification, they do tend to write between 2,000 to 3,000 words. Okay, but of course you can write as much information as you wish. In terms of the assignment, we recommend using the Angravels textbook, the Award in Education and Training. However, you can, of course, use a range of websites, textbooks, journals, of course, and you can include your own theories, and you can include your own literature from your own field as well. Okay, within the assignment, you can of course include images and photos, and the assignment can be written in the first or the third person, or a mixture of both as well. Okay. So we're going to start with the first question, which is 1.1. This is to explain the teaching role and responsibilities in education and training. And we've put together a series of bullet points that you can follow to help to structure your assignment answer as well. The first key area here for this first section is to really set the scene. And we think it would be fantastic for you to explain the teaching and learning cycle. And this can be found on textbook pages 3 to 4. Okay. And the teaching and learning cycle is there to outline what a course is required. Okay. So any course regardless of length, okay, requires this teaching and learning cycle. So it's a systematic cycle, which involves 5 stages. Okay, as we can see there: identification of needs, planning and design stage, delivery and facilitation, assessment, and of course, evaluation. So this is a cycle. And for every course or qualification that you deliver on, you will embark on these 5 different stages as well. Okay, so just starting off with this assignment question, it would be very good if you describe each stage and just explain what happens at each stage of this cycle as well. If you're new to teaching, you can talk about each of the stages, such as stage 1 is identifying needs. Okay, this is finding out what your organization's needs are, your own needs as the teacher or trainer, and also the needs of your learners as well. Okay, so it's finding out about why learners are taking part within the program. Why are they embarking on your course as well? Within identifying need stage, what often happens is there will be some source of initial or diagnostic assessment. So this is finding out a little bit more about the learners, their skill set, their strengths and areas for development as well. And often at this very early stage, you can find out about any sort of individual learning requirements. So you can support learners on the course and also agree some targets and goals as well. So that is simply stage one. But we would like for you to set the scene to this assignment by describing each of the stages. So do include 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And of course, if you are perhaps an experienced teacher, do talk about your current or previous experiences as well. So do include an example there. Okay, so those first 2 bullet points on our suggested template is setting the scene with this cycle. You can, of course, include a picture or a photo of the teaching and learning cycle if that helps for you to explain and make reference to the cycle there. But just coming on to the main section of this question is to explain the teaching role and responsibilities in education and training. So in terms of this assignment criteria, we would like for you to pick out a minimum of 4 roles of a teacher or trainer and to explain each of them. Okay, and also 4 responsibilities as well. So as a teacher, you will encounter a range of different roles, such as to teach your subject area. Okay, so of course that's to teach your subject, to stay up to date with your teaching knowledge. Okay, to teach the latest standards and criteria within your subject. You could also be a facilitator as well, so to facilitate learning. So teaching is not all about one-way communication. You could set activities, group work, paired work, all of those activities where, in essence, you take a step back and you let learners perhaps carry out a task, and you're there to facilitate learning as well. Other key roles is to be a motivator, so to be passionate about your subject, to be engaging as a teacher, to set perhaps prizes, lots of activities which are going to really help to engage learners. Okay, to be a role model, of course, to dress appropriately, to be there on time, to be very much a time manager within your lessons, but being professional as a teacher, of course, to be a planner. So, of course, to create lesson plans, schemes of work, and also to be mindful of timing as well. So that's key as a teacher. An assessor is to, of course, be objective, to arrange the assessments of your course and to make very much a judgment, have learners achieved their knowledge. You might be, of course, providing certificates to learners as well. So that is a key hallmark of an assessor. To be an evaluator, so simply to review your courses, your teaching. So thinking of your own strengths and areas for development, that's absolutely crucial as a teacher. So to think about how you can improve, and also to be approachable. Okay, so that your learners perhaps are going to ask you questions to do with your subject area, of course. So it's key to be approachable both inside and also outside of the lesson as well. Okay. So we'd like for you to pick out 4 roles of a teacher. So you can, of course, pick out perhaps 4 from the suggested list here. Okay. And we'd also like for you to explain a minimum of 4 responsibilities of a teacher or trainer as well. So responsibilities is, in other words, it's being accountable. So it's being accountable to your learners, to be accountable to your organization, of course, to be accountable to stakeholders as well, such as parents, and it could be, other colleagues, or you could be working within perhaps a network of schools and colleges as well. So we need to be mindful of being accountable, and we've got a range of different responsibilities of a teacher. So, for example, to meet individual learner needs, to meet learning outcomes. So, to meet the course outcomes is absolutely crucial. Health and safety. So by organizing a health and safety conscious environment, so it could be a classroom or a working area, to make sure all of our learners are safe and supported, to promote physical, emotional welfare of learners, to be non-biased as a teacher, to meet deadlines. So of course that could be marking as a teacher, and providing feedback to learners is absolutely important as a responsibility. Of course, to act professionally, and of course to promote a supportive environment as well. So if learners feel supportive within a teaching environment, then of course they're going to relax, they're going to enjoy your course or qualification that you are delivering on as well. So we would like for you to pick out any four responsibilities, okay, and really to explain each one. So perhaps looking for typically a paragraph of information, and you can of course include examples from your own teaching practice. This could be perhaps a current experience, or you can even talk about perhaps future teaching role experiences. So please do talk about your passion and perhaps your future plans for when you are qualified to teach, for example. So there we have it for criteria 1.1. I would recommend that you start with the teaching and learning cycle. And of course, moving on, we would like for you to pick out any four roles, any four responsibilities, and to explain them within detail as well. So do have a look within the first chapter of the Angravels textbook, pages 3 and 4 especially, and do have a look at pages 5 as well. On page 5, we have a list of different roles and responsibilities there. So in terms of the assignments, you can, of course, include photos. And just on page 2, we have a section where you can write your assignment answers below. So this section here, page 2, is where you can start to write your assignment answers, or you can write your assignment answers underneath each of the bullet points if that is easier for you. Okay, so hopefully the first section is quite straightforward to Unit A. And now we're moving on to criteria 1.2. It's to summarize key aspects of legislation, regulatory requirements, and codes of practice relating to own roles and responsibilities. Okay, so for this section, we would recommend just turning to pages 15 to 17, okay? And within the textbook, there are key examples of legislations, regulatory requirements, and also codes of practice. So before you get started with this assignment criteria, do have a read of those 3 pages. But we just need to find out, first of all, what are legislations, regulatory requirements, and also codes of practice. So in terms of legislations, these are essentially laws. These are passed down by Parliament, okay? Regulatory requirements are usually specific to certain industries, and codes of practice vary depending upon the organization within which you will work. Okay, but as a teacher, it's very important for you to stay up to date with these legislations, regulatory requirements, and also codes of practice as well. So in terms of legislations, key examples could be typically GDPR, so data protection. Okay, so that is a key law or legislation that you will need to uphold as a teacher, of course. Another key legislation is the Equality Act of 2010, Freedom of Information Act of 2000, and of course, the Health and Safety at Work Act of 1974. So these are legislations, they are passed down by Parliament. Now, regulations, okay, these are very much organized once again by different types of awarding bodies, and they are specific to certain industries. So once again, not all of organizations will follow all regulations. Some will be focused on your industry. So for example, control of substances hazardous to health, COSH of 2002, food safety and hygiene regulations, manual handling operations as well. These might be relevant to your own organization. Some aren't, okay. And finally, we have codes of practice. So codes of practice are usually produced by organizations, okay. They can be mandatory or voluntary, okay. And some key examples could be acceptable use of ICT, code of conduct. It could be perhaps a dress code as well, timekeeping, and also sustainability as well. So codes of practice are usually created by perhaps the school, the college, or the organization. Now, what we would like for you to do for this section here is to pick out perhaps a minimum of 4 different types of legislation, regulation, or codes of practice, okay? You can include your own industries or companies' legislations, regulations, or codes of practice, which might not be included within the textbook, okay? So I'd like for you to pick out a minimum of 4. So you can have a blend of legislations, regulations, and codes of practice, but perhaps do include a different blend here. But some of the key points, we would like for you to describe the legislation, regulation, or codes of practice. And we would like for you further to explain how the Act is relevant to your teaching role, okay, either now or in the future. So aim for a good paragraph on each one, okay, and once again, do have a look within those textbook pages 15 to 17, and that's going to give you lots of different examples there. But just bearing in mind that if your legislation, regulation, or code of practice is not included, that's fine. You can include your own, which is not included within the textbook. A potential suggested word count there is between 400 to 500 words, but of course, that is absolutely fine for you to write over that amount. There is no official word count, as we know. So just on that page there, do feel free to write your answer. So we are expecting to see a minimum of 4 different legislations, regulations, or codes of practice. Okay. Now, we are moving on to criteria 1.3, okay, which is to explain ways to promote equality and to value diversity. Now, within the textbook, I would recommend having a look at textbook pages 60 to 64. And an excellent way to start this assignment criteria is to really define what is equality and what is diversity. So I'm just going to read from the textbook here. So equality is about the rights of learners to have access to, attend, and participate in their chosen learning experience. This should be regardless of age, ability, and/or circumstances. Any inequality and discrimination should be challenged to ensure fairness, decency, and respect among your learners. Equal opportunity is a concept underpinned by legislation to provide relevant, appropriate access for the participation, development, and advancement of all individuals and groups. Essentially, equality is to ensure that all learners within your teaching experience receive the same level of support, the same advice, okay, and they should have the same opportunity for them to achieve their qualification, their course, and we are there to be as a supporter, okay. So please have a read of the Equality Act of 2010, okay, and that is going to give you just the overall outcome, the overall aim of the Equality Act, okay. So do have a look at that, and also perhaps have a read of your own organization's equality and diversity policy as well. So that is essentially equality, okay, and we also have diversity as well, okay. So diversity is recognizing that everyone is an individual, okay. So all of your learners come to your classroom, they have different experiences of education. Perhaps they come with their individual characteristics, okay, and we as teachers and trainers, we have to celebrate diversity and recognize that everyone is different, okay, in their own way, okay, and we are there to celebrate diversity. So diversity is about valuing and respecting the differences in learners regardless of age, ability, and circumstances, or any other individual characteristics that they may have. If you have two or more learners in the same room, you experience diversity, okay? So you may have a mixed group of learners with different past experiences who are aiming to achieve the same qualification, but at a different level, okay? So to start off, once again, this assignment question, I would like for you to write equality and diversity in your own words. So we're perhaps looking for a paragraph on each one, okay, to start off this assignment question. Furthermore, we would like for you to explain ways to promote equality and to value diversity within teaching as well. So just on the assignment template and just on page 61 as well, I might add, is we have a range of different ways that you as a teacher or trainer can promote equality and diversity. For example, being, of course, non-judgmental as a teacher, to challenge any direct or indirect discrimination, not having favorite learners, to ensure particular groups are not offended, ensure individual learners are not disadvantaged or overly advantaged, and of course to treat all learners with dignity and respect, and obviously to promote equality and diversity through a range of resources as well. So we have a range of different ways that you can, of course, promote equality and diversity. I would also advise for you to speak to fellow teachers and also your colleagues as well to talk about ways in which they have promoted equality and diversity. Myself, as a former college teacher, I always used to keep mindful of the current news and success stories, okay, within my subject area, okay, and to talk about perhaps success stories of candidates who perhaps achieved a qualification and they've gone on to have successful careers in their subject area. So in terms of this assignment criteria 1.3, please do explain the term equality and diversity and pick out perhaps 3 or 4 ways in which you as a teacher or trainer can promote equality and diversity. So 3 or 4 ways there. Once again, the suggested word count is perhaps 500 words, But once again, there's no official word count, and you can write as much as you wish. You can, of course, include any photos as well. If you've delivered equality and diversity training, perhaps, or if you've got any resources which promote equality and diversity, you can, of course, include photos within that assignment question. Okay, so we are making excellent progress with this unit, and we are now moving on to criteria 1.4. 1.4 is to explain why it is important to identify and meet individual learner needs. So do have a look on textbook pages 58 to 60 within the textbook, and this is going to talk to you just about inclusive learning and why is it so important to identify individual learner needs. So in terms of inclusion and inclusive learning, it's all about ensuring that learners have the opportunity to be involved, to contribute, and to be included within the learning process. Okay, it's all about treating all learners equally and fairly, and it's all to do with learners feeling comfortable. Okay, and they can, of course, approach you with any questions or concerns they have about their course or qualification. Ultimately, as teachers, we do want them to succeed and to progress to the next level, or to help them with their future goals. So therefore, it's important that, of course, we do support individual learner needs. Okay, of course, it's to do with the Equality Act, the reputation of your organization here. But furthermore, we would like for you to explain 3 to 4 practical ways on how you can support individual learner needs within your own teaching. So, for example, finding out about your learners by conducting initial and diagnostic assessments, agreeing individual learning plans or ILPs. So these are one-to-one meetings with learners and setting them some goals and targets. Ensuring learners on the correct program of study through perhaps an interview process or using application forms, identifying any individual learning requirements. So you could, as a teacher, you can access and arrange support, such as providing one-to-one support, perhaps with a tutor or teaching assistant. And of course, ensuring the environment is suitable for all learners as well. So for this criteria, just looking at why it's important to identify and meet individual learner needs, but also giving some practical ways in which you as a teacher can support individual learner needs as well. So the suggested word count again is typically 500 words here, but of course you can write over that amount as well. There's no official word counts once again. Okay, so we're just going on to our next criteria. And we are looking at to explain ways to maintain a safe and supportive learning environment. Okay, and do have a look at textbook pages 137 to 139 within the textbook. Okay, as a teacher and trainer, we need to ensure that we are maintaining a safe and supportive learning environment. Of course, that if you have a safe and supportive learning environment, then learners are more likely to achieve their own goal, their end goal, and qualification as well. So if you have a safe environment, okay, free from hazards, okay, and the learning environment is warm, it's comfortable, then learners are going to relax more. They're going to open up, they're going to talk about their current course, their qualification, and ask you any questions. If learners feel unsafe, okay, unsupported, then it's less likely they are going to achieve a positive outcome. So in terms of safety, there are a number of ways which you as a teacher or trainer can, of course, promote a safe learning environment. This could be by conducting a risk assessment of the classroom or teaching environment. So you as a teacher, checking out the teaching environment, is it fit for purpose, and reporting any risks as well to perhaps line managers. First aid provision. So this could be knowing where the first aid kit is, what to do in the event of an emergency, perhaps. As a teacher as well, you might also have first aid responsibilities. You might have to be trained within first aid. You might have to have an up-to-date first aid at work qualification as well. Other key ways that we can promote safe learning environments is explaining housekeeping rules, okay, where perhaps emergency exits are and what to do in the event of a fire alarm. Venue security, okay, how to access a building, where to sign in. Also, where to store bags, for example, as well, and making sure that there's no trip hazards within the learning environments. You might have to wear ID badges or lanyards as a teacher. And also you have to promote these with your learners as well to make sure that they're wearing ID badges and lanyards, perhaps around the building. Arranging PPE. So all learners might have to wear PPE. What's more prominent, of course, is cybersecurity. If learners are working on computers, making sure that they're mindful about using passwords, making sure that they're saving work safely and securely, and also safeguarding as well. So we have to make sure that within every course or qualification, especially working with vulnerable adults or children, we have to make sure that safeguarding policies are in place as well. So those are some typical ways in which you can promote a safe learning environment. Furthermore, to answer this question, we'd like for you to reflect on promoting a supportive learning environment as well. So ways that you can do this as a teacher is to be approachable, both inside and outside of the classroom, to be friendly, so to welcome your learners to the classroom. I always think by standing up and to greet each learner is a good way of being friendly and of course welcoming as well, asking learners how their day is, not to be over friendly, of course, but just to be mindful of your learners and showing an interest in them. Other key ways of being supportive is arranging ILPs. So these are individual learning plans. So setting up one-to-one meetings with learners just to talk about their course progress, how they're getting on within your subject, and to give them perhaps targets and how they can perhaps achieve their end goal. And of course, to be encouraging as a teacher, to be knowledgeable. So to be knowledgeable, to be mindful of the latest goings on within your subject, and also to promote that as well. So I always think being knowledgeable about the latest news within your subject area, talking about the latest trends within your subject is key, and that's showing that you are supportive. Other ways of being supportive is, of course, to promote ground rules and also to signpost learners as well. So just remember, you can signpost learners perhaps to careers advisor. It could be to journals, to textbooks or websites. So they could perhaps do some further reading as well. So I always think that's a good hallmark of a teacher, is being able to signpost to resources and organizations as well. But to summarize, we're looking for 4 ways of being a very much a safety focused teacher, promoting a safe environment, and also being a supportive teacher as well. So do have a look within those textbook pages 137 to 139. Once again, the suggested word count is 500 words, but you can of course write as much detail as you wish for that assignment criteria as well. Okay, so we're moving on to criteria 2.2 now, and we are looking at explaining why it is important to promote appropriate behavior and respect for others. So to meet this criteria, we would like for you to explain a minimum of 3 reasons why it is important to promote appropriate behavior and respect for others. So if you have a cohesive teaching environment, then learners are going to interact with each other. They're going to embark on activities where there's perhaps going to be group work, there's going to be debates, discussions. It's going to be a mature atmosphere where everyone's opinions and thoughts are going to be valued. Okay, and do have a look at textbook pages 128 to 130, which gives you a good chapter on ways to promote behavior and respect within a teaching environment. But here, just on the screen, are some typical ways that you can, of course, do this and why it's so important as well. So in terms of the reasons why, of course, promote a pleasant learning environment is going to help your learners to relax. They're going to open up. They're going to be interested in what your fellow classmates have got to say as well. And of course, it's important because you are also going to develop rapport with the class as well. Learners are going to have the confidence to speak up and to discuss topics. Learners are more likely to ask questions, and learners will focus on tasks and activities, and also to build that confidence to try and develop and learn new skills. So in terms of this assignment question, we'd like for you to pick out a minimum of 3 reasons why it's so important, okay, to promote appropriate behavior and respect for others. So we, of course, can do this as a teacher through the likes of ground rules, perhaps a classroom contract as well. But just think about 3 key reasons why it's so important to promote this behavior and respect for others. Okay. Just moving on, we are now going to look at criteria 3.1. 3.1 is to explain how the teaching role involves working with other professionals. So just to break down this question, we are going to be looking at signposting first. Now, signposting can be found on pages 6 to 7 within the textbook, okay? And this is going to, first of all, look at boundaries, okay? So signposting in teaching and training. When you as a teacher or trainer, you are in the classroom and learners perhaps have a series of questions and you don't know the exact answer, it's very important to be honest and say, that's a very good question, but I don't know the answer to that. However, I'm going to point you in the right direction. Okay. And this is what signposting is all about. So you have come to the end of your knowledge as a teacher. We're not expected to know everything as a teacher or trainer, but we would like to signpost them to someone who does know the answer, who can help them. Okay. So signposting is all about knowing your limitations as a teacher, and that's absolutely fine. Okay. And it's rather important that we provide our learners with the best advice. Okay. And that's where working with other professionals is key. So of course we work with fellow teachers, line managers, careers advisors. So we have got pretty much a bank of different specialists who we can signpost learners to. So what we'd like for you to do is just explain this term signposting. So just in your own words, what is signposting? So a paragraph of information here. So it's all about knowing your limitations as a teacher. And we would like for you to expand on that and just explain why it is important to promote signposting within teaching and training. And this, of course, it's important to work with other professionals. It's about knowing your limitations and promoting a great support network as well. And it is a legal responsibility of an organization as a training provider to give the best and the most honest advice to your learners or customers, for example. Okay, so it's all about being honest there. Okay. As a suggested word count, we're looking perhaps for 200 to 500 words. What is signposting, and why is it important to promote signposting within teaching and training as well? Moving on to criteria 3.2. Once again, we're sticking with this area of signposting. And now we're going to look at boundaries. Okay, so we've established what is signposting. Now we're going to look at this term called boundaries or barriers within education and training. And once again, do have a look at textbook pages 6 to 7. Which is going to describe boundaries and barriers. But what are these? So barriers or boundaries is what I like to think of kind of a roadblock. And this is going to stop learners from achieving their end goal or qualification. So it's something that is stopping a learner from achieving their goal, okay? And something which we as teachers and trainers can understand, and we can help to remove this barrier or boundary. And we can understand what these mean, these different types of boundaries and barriers. And learners can experience them during your course. And we, once again, can be a supportive teacher or trainer and help to try and do our best to remove these and get learners back on track with their course. Okay. And there are different types of boundaries. Okay. For example, it could be time, a learner time, their time to focus and complete a qualification. It might be, I'm sorry, Nick, I don't have time to do my homework, or I'm sorry, I haven't had time to complete this qualification. I haven't had time to complete my assignments, for example. So, of course, learners might have part-time jobs. They might, of course, be a carer. There might be, it might be their own individual health as well. They might have health issues, health worries. It could be learner finances. Perhaps they don't have money or funding to complete the qualification. They might not have the money or funding to sign up to a qualification for that matter as well. Also, the course location could be a barrier, travel costs, for example. There could also be external factors such as family views or peer pressure. So learners might not want to sign up to a qualification because they're worried about what their friends or family members might think. Okay. And also perhaps their previous knowledge or understanding of a subject. They might not know about this specification or the subject itself. They might be a bit anxious about signing up to a course and might not know that much about it. And just their overall learner confidence as well. Perhaps they're signing up to a qualification, but they haven't been in perhaps a learning environment since high school. They might have had a bad experience of learning, and they are looking perhaps to try and redo a qualification or have a fresh start, but they're just anxious about starting again. So all of these worries can be deemed as learner boundaries or learner boundaries. And to answer this assignment question, we would like for you to pick out perhaps a minimum of 3 boundaries or barriers and just to talk about them and what they mean. So one of the classic examples is time to complete a qualification as well. So 3.2 is to explain boundaries between teaching role and other professionals. So to keeping it simple is just to look at boundaries or barriers and just to explain what they mean. Okay. Just coming on to 3.3, it is to describe points of referral to meet the individual needs of learners. Okay. Now, in the previous section, we've talked about boundaries and barriers. And now we're going to look at something a little bit more positive. We're going to look at points of referral. Okay. And do have a look at textbook pages 57 to 58. Okay. And we are going to be looking at points of referral. Okay. So points of referral, okay, are different types of support mechanisms which you can signpost your learners to. Okay, so as we know, signposting is pointing learners in the right direction to these different types of points of referral. Okay, so these are typically specialists. They are sources of information that can really help learners to overcome these barriers. So it could be a person, so it could be a careers advisor, it could be the learning support team, it could be teaching assistants, it could be managers, it could be perhaps a director of learning. So these are people who have got specific skill sets and industry knowledge, okay, who can give your learners that concrete advice and support. It could be websites, it could be textbooks, it could be journals, it could be counselors as well. So if your learner is upset, if they're not themselves, then you could obviously signpost them to a counselor. And once again, it's great to have a network of points of referral, okay, these specialists, because they're going to really support your learners and do what's best for them. So to answer this question, we would like for you to explain the term points of referral in education and training, and to describe a minimum of 3 different types of points of referral. Okay, so we have our different examples there. And once again, you can, of course, include any examples of points of referral within your own organization as well. That's absolutely fine. So the suggested word count there is between 200 to 500 words. Do feel free to go over that as well. Wow, we are very much at the end of Unit A. So hopefully this this guidance video has been useful. Okay, just remember to include your learner reflection. Okay, so in other words, what have you learned from this unit? Okay, or what have you refreshed from this unit as well? So if you're a teacher or trainer, what have you refreshed? And of course, how might this unit influence your teaching as well? So what have you learned from this this unit? And furthermore, you will have used the Angravels textbook. If you have used any further website or sources of information, journals or textbooks, please do write them within the reference list there. You can send in your assignment to the submissions team, who do work to 5 working days to turn around marking. They'll let you know if you passed, or if you've got any corrections, they'll point you in the right direction on how to improve your assignments. And of course, do remember to sign, so to type in your name or signature, and also put the date there as well. So this is Unit A. Okay, so just as a reminder, you can write as many words as possible. You can, of course, include pictures and photos within the assignment as well. That we do like to see those as well. And once again, you can write in the first or the third person. There's no official word count once again. We hope you found this video guidance useful. Please do like the video and subscribe to the YouTube channel to receive the latest news and updates from the team. Bye for now.